Okay, in this fifth tutorial in the basic series, which will round off most of this, we're going to talk very quickly about surfaces and what surfaces are used for. So we're going to start with an empty board here, and in this particular case, what I want to do is I want to do something nice and simple. I'm going to create another box and have some leftover numeric information from the last one. Now let's say that I want this box to be even simpler than this. So I'm going to go back to the numeric pad, and in this particular case, I'll just make it a little bit smaller than usual and make it 3 by 3 by 3. And of course, I'll center it, so 0, 0, and 0. And I'm going to take off all that radius stuff and basically give it no curvature on the edge at all. And I'm even going to get rid of all of those extra segments. So this will be an impossibly thin sugar cube. So let's go in on it a little bit so you can see it better. And so what I want to do is I want to basically create a surface for this. Now I'm going to turn off box here, and I'm actually going to do more than one surface. And so I'm going to go into polygon mode, and I'm going to draw a lasso around the top. Now in this particular case, if I look at it in perspective, you can see I literally only have the top selected. And so I'm going to go to this little button on the bottom called Change Surface, and I'm going to call this Top. And I'm going to give the top a color. I'm going to choose purple for no particular reason. And now this box has a purple top. Then I'm going to deselect the top and select this side. And go to Change Surface again, and I'm just going to say right, and the right side will be blue. And deselect that, select that, change surface. I'm going to call this left, and the left side will be kind of a burnt yellow. And so you can see where we're going with this. And then deselect this. I'm going to select the bottom there and go into Change Surface. And the bottom will be, let's give it kind of a green color. So that's fine. And what are we missing? Okay, so, and I'm just going to leave the other two gray. That's fine. So not everything has to be selected. So let's say that that is now our object. And the only way to fully see how the surface works is we have to take it into layout. But before we do that, I wanted to point out something. If I go into, I select the surface again, say this one, and we look at this here. If I were to flip that, hit the F button, I have created something that's a miracle. Basically, that's a doorway into an empty dimension. Because, as we said, all polygons have only one surface. And so suddenly you have something that opens into nothing, which is physically impossible, of course. So I F it back, and there I am. But the reason I'm bringing that up is if you go into Surface Editor, one of the options that you get is the ability to make these things double-sided. So if you go into Surface Editor, and I go into, find the one that's blue, the right, that's one of the reasons I color code them, and I make that one double-sided. Now, I can F that all I want, and it will not disappear. And so if you see holes in your object, chances are there's something wrong with the surfaces. Okay, so the final thing that we're going to do with this is to demonstrate how you can manipulate surfaces. So to do this, we have to actually go into layout. So what I'm going to do first absolutely the first thing you must do. Save your object. I'm just going to go ahead and stick it on the desktop, and I'm just going to call it box. Then we're going to open up layout. So your layout screen begins like this, and I'm going to look, instead of current camera, I'm going to look at perspective. There's my studio, and I'm going to load that object. Load the object from the desktop box. So there's the box that we just looked at, and if I were to render this, hit the F9 button, you can actually see what the box looks like. And you'll notice you're looking at it from the point of view of the camera. So if I were to change my view to camera view, and then I move my camera, which we'll talk about more later on. Say I move my camera so that I'm seeing a better viewpoint of this. I'm going to rotate my camera so I'm looking down at it. And say I want to kind of get a view like that. That's probably better for now. So that's the view I'm getting. If I hit F9, I'm seeing my object, which there's nothing in the background, so that's all we're getting. But what I wanted to demonstrate real quick, if you go to Surface Editor, and there's box, let's say that I want to go to the top of the box because that's the purple surface. Let's say I want that surface to glow. I can turn up my luminosity so it glows. Doesn't affect anything else because we're only talking about that one surface. I can use diffusion to make it less reflective. I can also make it shiny. If I turn off specularity, you'll notice the guide mark here, I've given it a shiny surface. I can even make it glossy. I can also make it reflective so that other objects will be reflected in it. I could make it transparent. Now there's kind of a dangerous thing to do because notice how once I've done that, everything else disappears because there's nothing inside. So in order to make that work, I would have to make the inside, I make all of those polygons double-sided so that the box would have an inside. And I could even give it a bump map, which we'll talk about later. I can smooth it, which would make a difference in this particular case. But there you see I've got double-sided also. So this is the beginnings of how to make your object have a surface that makes sense. You can give it a texture of all different kinds, make it reflective, make it dull looking, and that's basically how we get started. So that's as far as we're going to get on surfaces in this particular demonstration, and we'll talk about the rest later.